Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are in. I hope you're in the best of spirits. Welcome to yet another episode of Bizwords. Welcome to yet another episode of Bizwords. We are coming to you live right from Dubai. My name is Noman Nasrullah, and I am live at the Funworks base of Dubai. With me, I have Lana Al Chaar. I would request Lana to introduce herself. I'm sure she would do much more justice than I would do to her.
Hi, good morning, good evening for everyone who's attending. Thank you, Norman, first for inviting me to this discussion today. My name is Lana El Char. I am currently the Vice President for NOMAC. NOMAC is the operating and maintenance company. I lead the Center of Excellence responsible for innovations, lessons learned, prediction, engineering, and IT and ERP. I have been with NOMAC only for the past 6, 7 months. Prior to that, I have worked for GE for 10 years, where I was the VP for Global, leading the delivery of software services. I have 14 years of experience as a university professor. I have a PhD in electrical engineering, graduated from the US, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. Hope you enjoy this, and let's start.
Thank you, Lana. Thank you for that introduction. I have an interesting story to tell about when I met you the first time. I haven't discussed it with you, but it's interesting. Lana wanted to. We met because Lana wanted me to facilitate her strategy design for 2020 for her team and her department, and. I asked her precisely on if she had any targets in mind, and her answer was interesting. And she said, I want my team to design the strategy for me. And I asked again, I said, do you have any targets that you want to achieve in 2020? And her reply again was, I would rather let my team tell me those targets. These were not your exact words, but this is exactly what you meant. And post that, it was an interesting journey. That whole facilitation was very interesting. The team did come up with targets, and I hope those targets, those strategies are in place. What
They
has
are.
happened? Everything is disrupted. So yeah, and then this brings us to talk about our topic today about agility, and how can we drive this agility forward. We have what I call imposed agility right now. Suddenly, a virus that we cannot see, feel, touch comes in and throws us into a complete disruption. And the world has completely changed. So however, organizations that were agile from before have had a strategic edge, and Lana has been there. Lana has been leading a lot of agility initiatives in her career, and I thought she would be the best person to talk about it. So, Lana, how would you define agility?
So, Norman, if I want to take the word as it is, agility, everybody knows that it's basically means being quick, right? But if I want to look at what agility organization is, it's all about executing, delivering, with the ability to be timely and effective and sustain change, where and when it can still provide value and performance to the organization. It's the ability to execute with efficiency, with clarity, with speed and innovation for internal and external environment, without losing the focus on the vision and the momentum on the vision. And if I can want to summarize it really, for me, agility is flexibility, it's balance, and it's adaptability. These are the three words that to me define agility.
That's interesting, and usually agility is taken as anti-status quo. It is taken as anti-command and control, where you have more leaner teams, you have less authority and more accountability, and people working together. How would you define an agile culture in an organization?
So it's basically the ability to work together, right? To be accountable. Because if your team does not is engaged heavily in how you're designing your strategy and how you're delivering to the customer, and they don't feel that they have the accountability, it's not there. So they need to feel the trust. They need to feel that they are open, they can take and deliver without really being guided step by step. This is very important. You're not going to hold them by their hand and ask them to deliver, because at the end of the day, they need to come up and be creative, and they can find different ways, but still be customer centric and focus to be able to deliver that.
Great, and you're working in the power sector, and there are quite a few sectors which have completely gone in the background, but there are a few who are leading from front. Of course, medical sector is one of them. You guys are again in a very important sector. You're leading from the front. You're ensuring that the electricity is there, the powers are there for all the ventilators, for all the hospitals to work. How have things been with you, with your company? Has this working from home, remote working disrupted? How are you keeping things alive and going?
So this is something that I was very proud of, because Nomac in general is very dynamic. And like you said, today we operate in 11 countries. And almost in all these countries, we do have, these lockdowns where people are very heavily limited in their mobility and so forth. However, Nomac has been really one of the top leading in building the right infrastructure. And that's key. They have invested heavily in the cloud. They have invested heavily in the on-prem to make sure that people have the ability to deliver wherever they are. So today, like you said, power and water are the two most important things, in addition to the medical field and all that. But you cannot live without those. So all the medical field, everything that you're doing today for Corona requires water and electricity. So the team has been really working hard and delivering. Nomac has provided them with the right platform, let's say, to deliver, and they're taking very good care of them in terms of safety. They have actually reduced the people on the plant so that there will not be so many people at the same time, and they changed the shifts to enable the team to be safe, protected from any heavy interactions, but at the same time still be able to deliver. It's not easy. I've done remote working for several years, but this remote work is completely very different, because you have to be always up to speed, ensuring that things are going well, specifically because I also lead the IT and team. So we want to make sure that all the systems are running. We have to ensure that we have very good disaster recoveries. We're testing them. We keep testing them just to ensure that things are running smoothly to keep the power and the water on.
That's interesting. So you mentioned that you've done work from home, you've done remote working way before than this Corona strike. So agility has been part of you from even before all this happened. Tell us a little bit about it. How was it? What was your experience, and how were you successful in doing that?
So, as I was leading before I joined Nomac. I was leading the global team for the software for GE Power Digital. And for that, when you're leading globally, you cannot be everywhere. So since the time difference, I was living in China, I was living in Singapore, in Europe, in US, and in Middle East. So the time difference plays a very big role. So being in an office does not really matter, because at the end of the day, your team is everywhere. So that's why the ability to work from home, the flexibility to be able to work from home, you can start at any time you want, you can finish at any time you want, is key. And that's where the work remotely has been part of my lifestyle for the past 2.5 years or 3 years. However, I know we had to deliver. We're still, customer centric. We're focusing on what we need to do and everything. So, from a perspective, we still have the same goals and targets. However, the situation is very different, because now we have people that we have to ensure more people's safety. People is number one to us. And now that Corona is very heavily, it's very dangerous. Nobody knows how, when it will end. We need to ensure the people's safety. We need to take extra measures. We need to ensure that things are more, are ready to, to be well maintained so that they don't have any issues there. With that, the team that I work with was not initially ready to work from home, right? Because at the end of the day, in Dubai, working from home is not there, even though you do have all the infrastructure ready. So that is taking time to really adapt and learn what needs to happen. But with this now, you end up working 10, 15 hours just because it is more issues that is more needed to ensure that things are running well. And that's the idea is later on we will learn from what we have done. We'll learn what are some of the roadblocks we went through, and then we will take it to the next level once things are over.
Yeah, and you're right. This working from home is so different. And then you're also right. In Dubai, we would just hop in our car and just rush off to the office for anything and everything. And I would see people going up and down the buildings, office buildings, even on Fridays and Saturdays, even just to take a print out, probably for if nothing else. And then things have changed. As consultants, we work remotely because we are in different countries at different times. But now my child is not going to the school. She's with me all the time. I'm working on projects as well as I'm working on her projects because they call it e-schooling, but it's like homeschooling. It's not e-schooling, and the schools are not even giving us any discounts. So things are very different, and up till you mentioned that organizations that had agile mechanisms in place had an advantage, and we were supposed to be joined by another guest today, Asad from RB. There was an urgent requirement for globally, and he said that he'll try to join us. So we hope that he'll join us. But again, things that there is nothing that you could bet on right now. Every The stakes have completely changed, and then you mentioned that you had the right tools in Nomad to make sure that you could survive in this forced agility, as we call it. But there's a human side to agility also. And as a leader, as a team leader, how do you bring that agility in your team? How do you ensure that as a team you're agile as well as moving in the right direction and collaborating as a cohesive unit?
So I just want to start by mentioning a very important aspect. There is a very big difference between doing agile and being agile. Okay, and this is something that we really need to keep in mind, because doing agile is basically something that you can learn, and maybe you can learn overnight by following processes, by following the methodologies that are already established. However, when being agile is a completely different mindset. It's a leadership mindset where the top management is heavily ready to be engaged and to support the team and build a culture of trust, safety, and innovation. Okay, being agile is not something that you do right now. And I'm going to give you just a small example just before I embark on one. Think of yourself that you want to run, right? If you want today to go and run, all you need to do is to put your shoes on, and then go and run. This is what we call doing agile. You bring whatever is necessary, your bottle of water, your shoes, and you go. However, when you want to become a marathon runner, this is a completely different thing. This is where you want to be something. It's going to take training. It's going to take the right food intake. It's going to take the time you need to rest and so forth. So there is a very big difference between doing and being agile. Hence, today, and in many, why did companies needed to be agile? That's the question. And this is where NOMAC and other companies have done. Today, with all the changes that are happening, with all the information and data that is available, things are moving very fast. There's a lot of new competitors are coming. There's very new Disruptive technologies are coming. Customers have changed. Customers now are no longer ready to wait. They want things very fast and efficient. So all this is actually putting a lot of pressure on the companies, including ourselves, to be able to deliver and to deliver efficiently. So with this, you need few things to be able to build that culture into your team. The first of all, you need to definitely have a purpose, right? And the purpose needs to be completely customer focused. And this will drive the right direction to your employees. The second one, you need to build within your team, you need to have the ability to this customer right tools and the right processes to capture all the data that is available and understand them to be able to drive the right decisions. With that, you need to be definitely very heavily supported by strong intelligence, with the interpersonal skills, to be able to uh, build and maintain the positive relationship that is enabling the great teamwork. So teamwork is very important. And then at the end, you need to definitely have resilience, right?
Right.
And this
Right.
resilience, what does it mean? It's definitely the ability to bounce back from any failure, learn from it, and take the next step. This requires confidence. So your team has to be confident, and you have to have confidence in your team. You need to have a positive attitude. People fail, but if you don't know how to take this as a learning and take it and become positive and help you to go, then that it will never happen. With all this, you definitely to be able to be supported by the capacity of acting, enabling creativity, enabling collaboration, which definitely will help you to innovate and adapt to continuous change. This is the culture that you need to build, and this is the culture I'm trying to build within my team to get things moving in the right direction as an agile company.
This is interesting. So yeah, purpose, cohesiveness, resilience, and you rightly said, building resilience is so crucial, and especially in these days. I could see a few of our friends live. We have Suresh live with us. He's mentioning the 2 days workshop we had. I see a lot of our friends from Nomac. I see some of our friends from Funworks. Guys, whoever is there, do introduce yourself. Umair is there from Fontera. Hi, Umair. How are you? We'll be taking a few questions from you, so do feel free to post questions in the comments, and I'll post it to Lana. Lana, you work very closely. You're a C-level employee. You work very closely with the heads of organization. When you're hiring, or when the organizations are hiring, and I'm talking about skills for future. What are some of the agile skill sets that you look for in individuals?
So to me, when I want to hire, I look for someone who can fit into my team culture, into what I'm looking for. And what I build it on is trust, openness, transparency, and candor. This is the most important thing, because if people are not being able to fit within this culture, it will not happen. I look for for talent who are team workers, who are ready to collaborate internally and cross-functionally. I look at people who have the ability to make decisions. I don't want to be there for every decision making. They have to be feeling that they are accountable, that they can take decisions very quickly. They are focused, customer focused, creative, and most important, inclusive, and have empathy to others. This is very important in the talent that I look for. However, when you want to look for tomorrow, the
Mm-hmm.
people for tomorrow, you have to look at basically people who have the ability to embrace change and to learn from them. All right. So to me, the first thing you need to do is not only embrace change in your head or in your brain. You have to really practice it in your daily life. You have to be flexible, right? You have to be ready to for any circumstances, to take a change, maybe to upskill yourself, maybe to reskill yourself.
Hmm.
All this needs to happen. A lot of people try today to plan for tomorrow, but they sacrifice a lot today. So for people to be ready for tomorrow, they need to stop planning and start acting. This is how I feel, and this is how I look at my team when I want to hire them. What are the right skill set they have to fulfill some of those to
That's interesting. I was discussing with one of my other clients yesterday. We were talking about a design sprint that they want to run, and he said everybody talks about problems of tomorrow. Nobody talks about problems of today. And he said we need to solve today's problems, and we need to solve it today. We cannot wait till tomorrow because things have changed. And as you said, we need to move from today to tomorrow, where we need to be change ready. And well, right now change has been forced on us. What I'm calling imposed agility, but we need to move from here to acquired agility. COVID has changed everything: the way we work, the way we are at home, our lives. Everything has changed, and on internet, on media, on live programs, everyone is talking about how our life has changed right now. However, let's talk a little bit about what would be the world beyond COVID. What is this world? And inshallah, we'll hopefully very soon we would get over it. Human race has always done it. What are some of the skill sets? What are some of the things that are here to stay? How do you see the business world changing? How do you see the world changing beyond COVID? And how does agility plays a role in there?
Look, I definitely think that today COVID-19 has actually started to rewrite the future of the businesses. I can definitely see that. I feel that once COVID is done, remote work is here to stay. It's not going to be more like today and enforced or people never thought about it. I think it's going to be there to stay. It will be strategic, and many organizations will restructure their organization processes to enable standard operating practices and to be elevated to the next level. So the first thing is definitely remote work will be there. I think there will be a lot of organization that will start leaning definitely to be developed to be agile, to develop a trust culture between them and the employees, which today it's not there. So the leaders have actually evolved. This has taught us a lot as leaders today, in the way we think and the way we need to tackle disruption and transformation become key focus for us. New work environment will change. I think there will be more integration now with customers and partnership, because I think um, the service provision is through partnership will have complete, and and what the customer is pitching in will have more impact on the customer, on the employees. So this will come as one entity. I will see more communication than ever in the companies. That's going to happen, which usually never happens or rarely happens. I see that people now are ready to, they feel the need of being cross-trained, so that the ability to do more things. I feel that the infrastructure, companies will start looking at better infrastructure just in case something happens. So Corona has dictated how things will be in the future. And I think people started thinking more and more about it.
This is interesting, and one of our viewers, Syed Najam, has said, indeed, a very relevant subject for discussion. Shall how to align with the new normal. Well, things the normal that we knew has gone, and as you rightly said, remote is here to stay, and we would need to build more trust and communicate and cross train. I'll start taking a few questions now, and we'll continue with our interesting conversation on how can we move this agility forward. Farhad has an interesting question. Farhad says, "Can you do assess agility when you hear what are the behavioral indicators at interviews? People claim the word and then rubber hits the road." This is interesting. So, um, uh, in interviews, we hear HR talking about about agile, about agility, but as a leader, and we did speak about it a little bit. How would you assess agility? What are some of the behavior indicators? So you did speak about trust, you did speak about communication, but how would you see it in action? And as a recruiter, how would you ensure that you could find it in action in people?
Well, body language speaks a lot too, right? But at the same time, always focus a lot on what the person has done. Give them some stories and ask them how to analyze those. What would be their reaction if things had happened? How will they take it over? For them to share with me some of the places where they have to take a decision, why did they take a decision, how they failed, how did they come up with from their failure. So you will be able to assess from there the ability of these people. And then in terms of trust, it's a matter of course, how the person relates to you. You would feel if the person is actually coming and saying something outside that's not really happening or something that he has really contributed to. It's definitely not as an easy portion, but I think when we go through 3, 4 interviews with the person, we don't do only one interview because we have to go through different levels, even though we are agile and we want to be agile. But at the end, you have to go through certain levels because one person cannot assess everything, right? And you'll be able to tell.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, and you mentioned a very very appropriate thing on how you've learned from failures. And usually in the corporate world, we tend to hide our failures. We tend to put them below the carpet and not talk about it. But it's a new normal, as we just heard. And learning from failures is important. How do you see the C-suite, the guys at the top, embracing agility? It's usually said that agility is slowest at the top. How do you see that happening?
Actually, agility cannot happen if the top management is not embracing it. They have to lead, and in an agile, a leader has to be leading by example. You cannot just come and say, "I have an agile company," if you're not part of that. So this is key. So I don't feel like really the leaders are less active than other employees because they have to embrace it. And change management is key. And the key change management can only happen and the people in the company cannot accept unless the leaders are. So if I want to talk about what is an agile leader is somebody who can lead by example, right? Who basically has the ability to empower and inspire, who has the ability to let the team work and take step back and watch without interfering. So I am a VP, I'm in the C-suite, but if I don't embrace agile, I cannot promote it to my team. They cannot see it. So it's very important for them to walk the talk. And if you want to be a leader in an agile, you have to walk it. You have to walk the trust. You have to walk and let people do their innovative practices to deliver still to the customer. You have to sit down and watch. You have to be their servant, which means you need to remove their roadblocks and help them deliver without really coming and dictate to them. You're not managing them, you are actually leading them. There's a very big difference. And
Yeah.
I think that's how it is.
Right, interesting. So walk the talk and take a step back, which is, as a leader, which is very very important. Where you want to just jump in and do it for them, but just take a step back, and then let them do it, and then and be a lifeguard. Just jump in when somebody's drowning. Don't jump in for every small thing. Otherwise, they would never learn to swim. I would take another question from one of our viewers. This is Zafar Khan. He is CEO Angro Digital, and he is asking, Lana, how do you think automation, remote access, and dashboards will change in the age of COVID-19? Zafar is asking, how do
I
you
think they will
think
become more
automation,
and
remote
more.
access? Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Lana.
I think they will become and more available and needed as we move on, because people needs to start anticipating for better, for worse conditions. I hope we don't have worse than what we have today in COVID-19, and I'm looking to get, to basically end, to have the end of this uh, challenging period. However, I think people start really thinking more about that, and things will evolve more, because at the end of the day, you need to be ready. And automation or remote access, or the ability to basically, like today, we're trying to some of there are some solutions where you can operate plants from remote, so that you don't have to let the people drive and everything. This becomes more and more needed as we move on.
Interesting, and then there is Zan is saying Bill Gates warned the world about lack of research being done on microorganisms and viruses in 2015. Do you think the world leaders are still not being agile enough to see the future?
There is
We've
always
Yeah,
ways to right, to improve. I don't see that anyone is yet at the level of being, a guru in agile. There is always a place to improve. There is always a place to learn, and agile is all about learning and about moving forward. So there is a lot to be done. We're not there yet. No matter what we say, there's a lot to be done.
interesting. And this brings me to a question that i- this part you've worked in North America, you've worked in different parts of the world, and you've worked in the region in the Middle East. And do you think it's said that we are probably less agile, less adaptable, more rigid and stubborn in this part of the world versus the other parts of the world? Is that true, or it's a
Oh, that's
personal thing?
definitely. No, I think it's definitely true, especially if you're working with normally international companies tend to be a little bit more agile, or ready, or I don't want to say maybe agile, but maybe ready for more remote work, because of the structure of these companies. But there are a lot of companies who started to become more agile. I think this region is was a little bit delayed, because also there is a lot of constraints in terms of clouds, in terms of data being leaving the countries and everything. And in order for you to be agile, you need to be able to have access to data. You need to be able to understand and analyze the data. And when you don't have them, if your data is on-prem in your office and you are working from home, there's no way you can access that. So yes, I think there is this region has been slower, but I think now it will pick up much faster, because they felt it, they tasted it, and I think they're seeing a lot of productivity coming out of that. So it will be, that's why I said it's going to come. I think the next, more people are going to become, more companies are going to become more agile, and people too, by the way.
Yeah, I think people don't have an option. If you want to survive in the work 2.0 or the work beyond COVID, I think you need to have the agile skill sets. And you've spoken about the agile skill sets. Farhad, again, I'll take another question from Farhad. He's asking, I'm sure you must have designed policies for agility. However, now all countries are differently affected. So have you changed and revised your policies? You're in 10 to 11 different countries. And as you said, all the countries are impacted and they're very, very different. Saudi is so different from probably Vietnam and South Africa. So how does that work? How have you put agility into practice in the past few weeks?
So we have designed the policies basically to fit the company culture, but then each country have their own uh, work requirements, or policies or procedures that fits them. Today, we have not really used any of these policies, and I don't intend to do them while we are in COVID. Right now, there are more things to look at. However, as soon as this is over, that's the first thing we need to do. We need to go back and look at our procedures. We need to look at our policies. We need to look at our lessons learned and see where some of these procedures that we have designed and put together had created some roadblocks and see what needs to be done, what did we do to overcome them, refine our policies, and then move forward with them. So I don't think during any crisis it's time to really revise, it's time to mitigate, but then after that, this is where you learn and you go and then you fix and then you adapt to the new changes.
Interesting. So anybody who's listening to our talk right now and who's listening to you, where we've spoken about the skill sets for future, how do I prepare? I'm locked. I'm in my home. I don't know how the world is going to be a few months from now. I could see optimism on one side, but I could see a lot of pessimism on the other side. What do I do in my home to prepare for the world for tomorrow, to get ready and be agile and then acquire those agile skill sets?
Well, first of all, the first thing you need to do is to learn what is agile, to really understand the principal core of agile, and then see how you need to believe in them and start looking at what things now that you're locked in your brain you can start integrating within your daily life. This is very critical because once you believe it and you start integrating it once slowly, then you start feeling it and you start learning. I know when you are at home, there's not much, a lot you can do, but at least take the time to really read and learn and grasp and understand, and then put maybe some bullet points on what is now that you can do versus what you're going to do tomorrow. Again, we said do not sacrifice today, act today, and then you plan for tomorrow, but at least have some ideas. Build some positive relationships while you are at home. Reach out to people, start learning what they are doing. LinkedIn is there. Try to see and look for mentors within your company today. Look at how they are behaving, how they are actually reaching out and being agile, and then try to learn from them. Connect more and more from them since you're staying home anyway. Make it part of your daily life as much as possible, and then take it later to integrate it in everything you do. That's the only way you're going to become agile, and you're going to be able to look at your skill set today. You're home. Look at what you're doing. Is this something that is your skill set today going to help you in tomorrow? If not, try to start looking at courses online that are available to learn, to upskill yourself, maybe to reskill yourself. So try to learn new things, take advantage of where you are so that you can fit and then move. Especially now, a lot of the companies have been trying to maybe lay off because of all the issues. So if you basically how do we say the word? If you arm yourself with additional skill set and you prove that you have the ability to do two jobs instead of one job, that's going to secure you and that will help you for tomorrow. So take that, be agile, and take the initiative, be proactive.
That's interesting. We'll take a few more questions. So all my viewers here, if you have any questions to ask, do share. We have a question from Suresh. Suresh, you get a lot of Lana every day. You still want to ask a question over here, but it's interesting. I think Suresh is missing going to office and being with you, Lana. So Suresh
I miss
says,
you,
"Hi,
Suresh.
Lana." So yeah, hi Lana. How can business leaders demonstrate agility? What behavioral indicators will exhibit agility? This is something we discussed a little bit, but maybe you want to go into it a little bit more. How can leaders exhibit and demonstrate? What are some of the, if you have to put on fingers, what are a few behavioral indicators that would exhibit agility?
I think Suresh, you've seen it. I hope that you have seen it. I think the ability, like I said, is to give you, to help, to mentor, to coach, and not do the job for you. Ability to give you the chance to make the decision and see what the outcome is. Not take you by your hand. The ability to feel that um, and to make the team accountable as much as the leader is accountable. The ability to help you work as a team and learn from each other and get to know each other, the ability to embed this trust in you. I think these are the major characteristics that you see to see whether your leader is actually an agile leader or not. And be careful, there's difference. It's a leader, it's an agile leader. And I think there's nothing that's called agile manager. All right. If you want to be agile, you cannot be a manager, you need to be a leader. There's a very big difference there.
Great, and we have Ravi from Nomac, and he's asking, all these guys from Nomac, remember you go back to work, yeah? I'm home and I stay at home. You go back to work, yeah. So, Ilana, how do you motivate agile teams to become high performing teams? What's your mantra to motivate teams to perform, Lana? That's something that everybody asks. What's the mantra to motivate, especially agile teams which are so independent?
Well, there's a lot of things that you need to do. If you want the team to stay agile and to deliver, they need to know what's going on in the business. So you need to ensure
Mm,
that they're aware of what's going on in the business. So from my perspective, I do quarterly what we call all hands, where we provide the team with what we have done, what they have achieved. We celebrate successes, and this is very important. We reward the people who have really exceptionally delivered. We try to give a lot of exposure. So I personally have to do all the presentations to the leadership or to the top management. If somebody has done something, we should give them the chance and the ability to go and give them that exposure and let them know, because at the end of the day, they have done the job. I just was there as a facilitator for them. So this is how you motivate your team, and this is how I think people will tend to work more and more without feeling just because they want to be in that shoes one day.
great. So yeah, this is interesting. Share as much as you can. Don't hoard information. And as leaders, the more open and transparent you are, the more you'll be able to create agility within your teams.
Give credit where credit is due. This is the most important thing.
Give the credit where it's due. Definitely, yes. Don't, and then ultimately, when the leader snatches credits versus gives credit is the differentiator. It shows how the leader is internally as well as externally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take one more question. But in the meanwhile, Lana, how do you see this unfolding? How do you we've spoken about the world beyond COVID, and we've spoken about how the difference between being agile and doing agile, and you said stay at home and do things differently. I remember we were speaking about how you do 7 kilometers in your balcony every day because you cannot step out.
Yes.
That's interesting. 7 kilometers in your balcony. Just a few days back, I was watching somebody from within my neighborhood who had posted that he's going to do half a marathon in his balcony, and he had a small balcony. He didn't have a very big balcony. So I think we are adapting as humans. We do evolve, and half a marathon is just 21 kilometers. That's
Yeah.
that's 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 huge, and he did it and he posted it. So. What would be your few last words? How do we drive this agility forward, Lana?
So to drive agility, first thing, like I said, is you need to believe in it. Is it the right thing to do or not? Right? And to drive it, you need to work with others. You cannot just work alone. One hand does not clap.
Mhm.
Right? So learn and work and be inclusive. Share what you have and learn from others and take those lessons learned and take it to the next level. And, see what needs to be done, share it with others so that they learn from you and then you learn from them at the same time. This is how you need to do. Be be open of your fears, learn from your fears, and try to see what is needed to overcome those. Talk to the people who you trust, and this is how they can help you. And then your circle of the trust, within the people is going to keep on increasing and increasing, and then you build the culture of trust. I think from an individual perspective, I'm not talking from an organizational perspective.
Yeah, this is interesting. So grow your circle of trust and build from your fears. I think these are some great words. We need to build forward, and we need to build from our fears, learn from our fears, and build it forward. Thank you very much, Lana, for this precious 1 hour of yours. I know you'll go back to work right now, and it would be a long day. Thank you for making time and then speaking about driving agility forward. And hope to see you soon in person, without this social distancing, and not just remote. So thank you very much, Lana.
Thank you for inviting me, Norman. I wish you all the best, and I wish the people and everyone, the world, to be safe. To get over this COVID very soon. Please stay home. Please be safe. That's the only way we're gonna kill COVID. Be agile and take the initiative and force others to stay home. Thank you so much, and have a great one.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lana.
Thank you.